gardener here up in Vermont, and heading down to the Cape this afternoon. Just kind of bring you up to date, and I'm going to use this as the introduction for my next video that I've got coming up. But anyway, we're about ready to start a big project, one that's been coming for a long time. Right after I got little girl ready last year to go ahead and put in the water, Ryan Mann, the former owner of the boat, friend of mine, that has Avalon, all that kind of stuff. You've met him before in some of my videos. Ryan was aboard the boat one night looking it over because he had not been on the boat in many, many years since he owned it. And he commented on how springy the foredeck was. And indeed it is. It's really, really bad. Little girl looks pretty good from the outside. I mean, all the woodwork I've done, the improvements I've made on different the hatches have been redone. All the tow rails, are completely stripped in the sea tall. It looks good, okay. But you get on that foredeck and you can tell it's just way too much give. And if you go below, which I've done before, and you look up into the forepeak, up inside where the chain locker is and everything, you can really tell. There are remnants of soggy coring that you can just see coming right down out of where some screw holes are and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's not good. So anyway, the point is I've begun pricing epoxy and supplies and trying to determine how much it's going to cost, what we're going to do here. I've got some money on hand to do that. But one of the things that's got to happen, and also just to make matters clear, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this now. It's going to have to be done in the spring when we get some warmer weather, because we're getting into the time of the year when you're going to have some cold weather, and it's not good trying to do epoxy in cold weather. I don't know. We'll take a look at that. But in the meantime, my brother had given me the marine plywood that he used, a big sheet of it that he used when he did the foredeck on his boat. And man, that thing came out great. You could land airplanes on that thing. It's so solid now. But anyway. I've got to think this thing through and begin to work on it. And one of the things we're going to do on this trip, I believe, is go ahead and take the bow pulpit off, the cleats off, and maybe the vent cowling there. We'll see. I mean, it would leave the whole front of the boat so that it completely changes the profile for putting the tarp over it during the winter. But that's all right. I mean, at least it would have all those things prepared and ready to go for springtime when we go ahead and begin making the cuts. I'll tell you, that's the part I'm concerned about. I love the original texture, the I don't know what you call it, the diamond grid work or whatever of that, the deck up in the front of the boat. It's just beautiful. And I hate to think about wrecking any of that when we go cutting it and trying to take out these big pieces to replace all the coring inside or underneath between the layers. So anyway, that's something I'm having to deal with right now, to look at it and consider, probably start tapping on it, see exactly how much of it needs to be cut. Those are some things that I want to deal with. That's kind of future plans. But anyway, in the meantime, another thing that I've already done, this past summer when I had the boat in, I didn't have any sail ties. I still don't have any sail ties. And I ended up taking one long length of rope and kind of spiraling it around, getting the mainsail down on top of the boom, and then just trying to spiral a rope around it, and it looked like crap. I mean, that's no way to put a sail to bed. You just don't do that. I felt embarrassed to even be doing it. So I have ordered a roll of polypropylene strapping, 1-inch polypropylene strapping, some really nice green with a couple of black stripes. Not that the looks matter, but it's good quality stuff. and that's going to be coming, and I'm going to start cutting that up into sections so that we got some really nice sail ties to be able to downy flake, that's what my brother calls it, to flake the sail and properly wrap it. I'm convinced that one of the reasons I lost one or two of the sail battens that I had made just recently, I think is because it was, the sail was just kind of put to bed very sloppily, and I think those sail battens just slipped out and went over the side, whatever. So anyway, these are some of the things I'm kind of working on, looking forward to, try to get some work done on little girl. But we'll see. We'll see where the weather goes, see about the temperature. I do not want to leave that foredeck open during the wintertime. Cut the decking off and have that wide open, especially with the bow pulpit and everything off of there. I just, not good. So, this afternoon we're heading down, and I'm looking forward to it. And we're probably going to go ahead and begin the process of stripping the bow of the boat. Get all the accoutrements off from there, and just get her ready so that in the springtime we're ready to begin cutting up the deck. I hate to even say the words, and go ahead and replace the absolutely raunchy old wet rotted coring that's underneath there. So, all right, guys, we will catch you when we get on the Cape. Well, good morning, guys. We're on the Cape, and I woke up this morning and looked out the back window, and let me just turn around and show you what we've got. I can't believe it. Well, we learned our lesson. Cheapo sawhorses that I bought dog's age. Oh, well, good grief, 4 years ago now, just completely fell apart, and they rotted, and so I'm not gonna deal with this. This is not good. The problem with this is that if that lays there long enough, the vines start wrapping themselves all over everything. So anyway, I'm gonna go up to Home Depot this morning, get myself a pair of decent sawhorses that will not rot, and get them back together. Also, those boots have got to come off of there for the winter. I don't leave my spreader boots on. They come off every year and go back on every spring before the boat goes in, and that way I'll keep these spreader boots and use them year after year and not have to worry about it. But anyway, let me show you something. This is why they fall apart. There you go, right there. Isn't that lovely? Just rotted all to pieces. Okay, on these stupid sawhorses, unless you're planning to buy pressure-treated lumber to go in them, don't ever buy these stupid things. They're cheap, but they're not worth spit. Anyway, not going to get into that. Suffice it to say, I've got something a little better. This is a Stanley product, made in the USA. Hello, not China. And these are going to be good and rugged, and they'll work. These are a whole lot better than the red ones they used to have that were really, really flimsy and cheap. I think these are going to be great. So I'm going to get these set up and get my mast up off the ground, get the boom set up, and yeah, finally we'll be ready for winter with everything up and off the ground. One of the things I'm doing is getting all my new line that I bought off the mast for the winter. This is brand new stuff. I don't want it to be messed up. This is the main topping lift, and I've already unattached it up at the masthead, and I'm just going to draw it down through, and then I'm going to coil it, and it's going to go in with the fore and aft halyards, main sheet and jib halyards that are all coiled up very nicely down in the basement. So anyway, I'm going to get the mast all squared away this afternoon. That's a priority for now. And now that we've got our nice brand new sawhorses set up, and these are good and high. This is going to just work fantastic. This thing is more stable than it's been ever since I put it up on stands. I mean, this is not going anywhere, so awesome. Well, I just took the spreader boots off. I do not want to go having to buy a brand new pair of spreader boots every year. And the ones that I took off this mast when I got it were so old and had been on so many years that this stuff tore like paper. It was just completely degenerated, deteriorated, and believe me, I spent enough just getting the right ones. And by the way, to get the right diameter on both the shroud thickness and the spreader. Yeah, I mean, I made sure that I got the right ones for this, and I just don't want to have to go replacing these every year. So there we go, ready to go. I totally forgot about that. When we took the mast down, we just simply detached everything at the at the chain plates. So all the turnbuckles are still on the ends of the shrouds and the fore and aft stay. So anyway, I'm going to take these all off and make sure that they all go into a nice dry place and get re-lubricated and put back in good place for next summer when this boat goes back in the water. Okay, finally, the mast, the boom, everything is all stripped up off the ground and prepared for winter, and we should be good to go. Well, I'm going to begin preparations tomorrow for working on the deck, even though I'm not going to work on it till spring. But once I take this bow pulpit off, it's going to change the whole dynamic, because I'll have to learn how to wrap this thing all over again, because that bow pulpit is kind of my stretch point for everything. And with that off, it's going to kind of be weird. Anyway, but hey, it's got to be done, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. Scared, but looking forward to it. So we'll get at this first thing tomorrow morning. Oh man, I haven't been back aboard since we took her out of the water, and it smells great in here. It smells very boaty. Yeah, let me turn this around. Well, I wanted to get back aboard because there's some things I need to just check out in here and see what stuff I left in right after we got done taking her out of the water. I mean, hang on, putting my hand right in the way. Because, let me see, okay, it looks like I took all the food off. Anyway, I just want to check things over. It's been about a month since we took her out, and it's always good to get back aboard and look around and make sure that there's no leaks, that there's no places where it's getting in and messing things up. Mosquitoes in here. Okay, get that out of here. Anyway, okay. Guys, let me get to work. I'm going to bring you back when I scope things out and we take a look at how things are sitting here aboard. Well, two things are going to happen. All this drinking water that I never use has got to come out of here because it'll freeze up this winter. And over on the port side, this is sink water down in here underneath the pots and pans. And that'll freeze up during the winter time. So all this stuff's got to come off of here. And the drinking water we'll use, these are just going to be emptied out and put back in the basement. That's all for using with my tank, and this has got to be emptied right here. You can't see it. Let's see if we can do this. Yeah, that's my tank right there. That goes to the sink. It works great. I mean, the sink works great. I think I'm going to replace this pump unit. It's not the greatest. Let's see if we can focus in right there. That is not the greatest. That thing is leaking. Yeah, it's 50 years old, and it really needs to be replaced. I've been pricing them out, seeing where I could find a good one, and see how I could replace it without breaking the bank. And I think I've found a good one, so we'll see. I'm going to check around and talk to some guys that have them and see what they say. Okay, so those are some of the things that got left undone that have got to be done. That Dawn dish detergent's got to go inside, or that's going to freeze. And also out here, my life vest and my jib cell. I forgot that was in here, and that's very damp from having just been in here all the time that it was out on the boat when we were sailing, and then when it got stashed away back in the quarter berth back here, it's still very damp. So that's got to be taken down the basement and dried out and So that's what I'm saying. I'm glad I got back aboard because there's a bunch of stuff that didn't get done when we put her to bed for the after we got her out of the water. All right, I'm going to keep checking around, and like I said, tomorrow we're going to begin taking the bow pulpit down and taking the accoutrements off the bow of the boat. Here, let me take the bow pulpit down and take the accoutrements off the cleats, perhaps the deck cowling. We'll see. And I've got to tap around and see how much of the deck has got to be replaced. The coring inside the deck. And, not happy about having to do this, but it's got to be done. Guys, this is just what I did last year when my jib got completely saturated on a return trip from the vineyard. We got home and without a drop. We stayed dry all the way home on the voyage back to it. But as soon as we got back, it just started downpouring, and this poor jib just got absolutely saturated. It was I left it clipped to the forestay. Anyway, but this is what I did to dry it out, and just before I went on my solo sail this year, what happened was that we had a just tremendous deluge for almost 2 days, and it would just everything in the cabin, even where the cabin didn't leak, everything was just completely saturated. And this poor jib has been out there ever since. So I brought it in, and I've got it clipped up, and I got the peak of the jib way back in this hallway back here, tied up to one of the little rafters, and then I just come out here and I got this really nice little hook up here on the plumbing, and just let it hang, let it dry out, and when it gets all dry, we'll fold it up and put it away for the winter. So hey, it's better than letting it mold and mildew. All right, so I'm out here actually pretty late. What time is it? About 10 minutes to 8. The deal is I wanted to come out for one reason, to illustrate something we're going to be doing. I'm going to be stripping the bow today, taking the bow pulpit off and all the cleats and so forth. But temperature-wise, we're already at a time of the year where it's going to be almost impossible to do the work that we've got to do unless we get a particularly warm day. And that depends on us being down here at a time when it's going to be warm enough. Right now it's 45 degrees and not good temperature for epoxy to set. 60 and above is a good temperature. It just weakens your epoxy. It's just not a good thing. So, at 45 degrees, we got some cold days coming up. We're getting on into fall. Here we are, October 18th, 19th, I forgot what day it is. Anyway, the point is, I'm afraid that the actual work on the deck is going to have to wait till springtime when we start getting some consistently warmer days, and we can just pick it, make sure that we come down at a time when the temps are going to be right on up there, and we got some decent weather to be working with. In the meantime, the boat is still covered all the way back to the cabin right above me, and as soon as I finish breakfast and so forth, I'm going to get out here and finish stripping the tarp completely off, and then we got to get to work. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna go grab some breakfast, and I'll get back to you in a few minutes and begin this job that's got to be done, but one that, like I said, I'm not particularly happy about doing, because I just really prize the wonderful original condition that the decking is in right now, and we go cutting and taking that deck up. I just don't want to damage it. I love the look of my original 1970 Seafarer Kestrel, and the way they made this boat. So, all right, guys, enough commiserating here. I'm going to go grab breakfast, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Well, I just undid the shackle down in the chain locker. There's my anchor. And I'm pulling up all the road. I've got about 200 feet of road, and it's all marked off. And there's 30. Anyway, it's all marked off all the way down through here. And so, but I want to completely empty that chain locker because I'm going to be working down in there and having to undo all kinds of screws and bolts and nuts and all this kind of stuff. And I want to completely empty that chain locker so that, especially when I'm using, oh, not WD-40, what's that other stuff? Anyways, it's a rust killer. Geez, I used to use it all the time in the marine industry. Totally forgetting it now. Anyway, when I use that stuff, I don't want it dripping all over the road. And so I'm going to get all this out, completely emptied out, and then we'll get going on taking things apart. Okay, chain locker's empty. And now I'm going to go below and start scoping out whether there are nuts on the bottom of these or whether these are just screws. I have a feeling there are nuts on the bottom, and but there's 4 of these. By the way, this is not the original bow pulpit. I've got a picture of this boat long before I ever had it, and it had a different bow pulpit on it. I find it weird. So far I haven't seen a different footprint for the bow pulpit. Oh yeah, although I think I may be seeing it up there that there was, yeah. Anyway, whatever. One way or the other, I've got to figure out what I'm dealing with below here, whether I'm going to have to put some vice grips on a nut down below, spray some WD on there, whatever it is, and try to figure out what my next steps are. So I'm going below. Well, I will not be filming this because I'll tell you what, these screws are not coming out easily. Only the very most outboard screws, port and starboard, are actually coming up. The rest of these are stripped or not refusing to move. This one, I don't know if I'll ever get it out unless I just get something underneath here and pry it up, because I'll tell you what, the head is so stripped out to begin with. Just, I don't know. I mean, this is going to take a long time, and it may not all be done on this trip. That's how bad it is. I tried this cleat, and it looks like this one's going to be all right. I should be able to get that one up all right. The screws seem to be easily unscrewable, but yeah, this is going to be a bit of a nightmare. So. Well, I was completely wrong. I was looking at screws, and they're not screws, they're bolts, and those are nuts on there. I did manage to get one completely off. I just hit these with some PB Blaster from below, but from now on, I'm going to get PB Blaster from deck side. This is all going to get completely cleaned out anyway, so I'm not going to worry about the PB Blaster getting into things. It's all going to be completely acetoned and put back together later, so I'm just going to hit PB Blaster and get them down into those nuts and see if I can't back these screws off. So, you know, hey, at least we got one out. That's for all the effort that I've done so far, at least I got one of these bolts out of there. Well, guys, I think I'm about out of time for this trip. Got back from the little outing with my brother and his wife, and that was awesome. Really enjoyed it, being aboard his new motor cruiser. And but these are going to take far, far longer than I thought they ever would. And it's going to be way more complex. Next time around, I'm just going to spend the whole time on this. This time, I had to get the mast done. And yeah, this other thing on the sail, basically I had to unload the boat. So there's a lot that I managed to accomplish other than this. But this is going to have to be for next time. Meanwhile, I've swept some of this, but this is the time of the year, and right now my boat is completely buried in pine needles. I mean, look at this. It's just a mess. They're everywhere. So I'm going to take some time to clean up the boat and get things in order. And yeah, I'm going to take all this and put it downstairs. That's all my rode and my chain and my anchor. I could probably tuck the chain and anchor underneath the boat, but the rode I want to put downstairs where it's going to stay dry, and instead of putting it back in the chain locker for now. All right, I'll finish up with you guys a little bit later, but yeah, it's been a good trip, gotten a lot accomplished, but not exactly the things accomplished that I had wanted to get accomplished. So, get back to you a little bit later. Good news, my mom and dad keep the house nice and warm all the time, and right behind here is the furnace. So after 2 days of hanging, my jib is very nice and dry. Anyway, time to take it down. We'll get this all taken down, fold it up, and have it ready for next spring. Quarters for sail folding. But anyway, we'll get it done. Get it all folded up here in a few minutes. Not the most precise, but the jib is folded. So, all right. So that joins the mainsail and the halyards and just a whole bunch of stuff I'm keeping in the car. Oh, those are the cushion covers. There's the cushions. This is all winter. Nice, quiet, dry storage down here. So, come spring, we'll put everything back together and everything will go back out on the boat. Guys, getting everything under wraps around here to get on the road. Yeah, next time we're going to be nothing but getting that bow stripped. For this time, it was just way more than I thought it was going to be. It's going to take quite a bit of work to get up under there and have some wrenches in place. And anyway, suffice it to say, I got some serious work ahead of me to get that bow pulpit off and all the accoutrements off of there, so we can even think about getting to replacing the coring, taking up the deck, replacing the coring. It's going to be a lot of work. But for this time, look, I still got quite a bit accomplished. Everything is neatly stowed away after stripping the boat out completely. Got the mast all stripped down. The mast is now up on good stands, and it's not going to be falling down into the weeds. And yeah, oh man, these are not the projects I was planning to do. But you know, I got here, and it's what needed to be done. So that's what I did for the sake of little girl, and particularly the one about getting the mast up. That was ridiculous. I've been putting up with those rotten old stands for 4 years now, and it was just time to get rid of those and get something decent. So, all right, guys, listen, thanks for stopping by Restoring Little Girl, and we will definitely catch you on the next time down. And Lord willing, this next time we'll make some serious progress and try to get the bow completely stripped and start tapping the deck to see where we need to be, cutting everything up and getting that rotten coring out of there. So, hey, God bless, have a good one, and we'll catch you on the next time down. One last thing. I got the tarp all in place, and I got up here, got up underneath the bow pulpit here, and I have, let's see if I can get these. There we go. Every single one of these bolt heads, screw heads, have been now lubricated with PB Blaster to sit and wait until I get back. And when I get back, we'll start working on them. But that's the way to go. That way it soaks down through and gets into all the threading, especially hopefully all the way down to the nuts that are securing them. And yeah, we'll get to this on the next trip down.